Good morning. It is 8:19 a.m. on Sunday, March 8th, 2020. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 More Minutes, and it is Sunday, so it is time for my rewatch of Cowboy Bebop. If you haven't been watching the regular episodes of 5 More Minutes, you will notice picture-in-picture of my little dog, Rocket, Corgi, even. And yes, I did first discover the Welsh Corgi breed with Ein from Cowboy Bebop. So, just to make sure that's, credit where credit is due. Rocket is just a puppy, so it is not yet clear whether he will be as smart as Ein. In any case, today we are talking about the 23rd session of Cowboy Bebop, Brain Scratch. Now, this is a good episode, and it's bittersweet for a couple of reasons, some which are inherent to the story itself, but also some which are meta in the sense of knowing what comes next in the series, because we're getting close to the end. After this, there's only 3 more episodes, 3 more full episodes, that is, and then there's the movie. But yeah, so we're coming up close on the end here. But I think that this is another episode where we just get to see all of the crew doing their thing in kind of a cool way. Boy, Rocket, you're over there off camera now. Let's see if I can point hiding. Anyway, so we begin with a lot of focusing on what's TV like in the days of Cowboy Bebop in this setting, and what we see is that it's a lot like TV of now/1990s. And what we get is that there is a strange new movement called Scratch, where supposedly people are uploading their brains to the internet and leaving their bodies behind to join the infinite sea of electrons. And we see lots of different kinds of shows, but there's definitely that theme of everyone's talking about this new thing, Scratch, and their weird leader. And obviously there's a very culty vibe around it. And as we watch a bunch of it, this little montage of TV channels ends up finishing with a scene where they're talking to a crowd of people, adherents to this Scratch religion, and we see, there's Faye, who seems, at least on camera, to have bought into it. She's acting very strangely. So this is where we realize that Spike has been watching this. He calls in Jet, and they're like, oh, we wondered where she was. Turns out the leader of this movement has a huge bounty on him because a bunch of people are dying as a result of participating in this movement. I don't know where Rocket is going. Rocket, what are you doing? Sorry. Rocket, what are you doing? Come on, buddy. Here, let's put you back in here for a little bit. It's one thing if you're hanging out where I can see you. It's one thing if he's where I can see him, but when he wanders off somewhere else, I never know what he might be getting up to. Anyway, just like Faye, honestly. So, Faye has apparently gone off and joined a cult, at least as far as, Spike and Jet can tell. But they also realized that the big bounty, well, maybe she was just going after the bounty. So is she really brainwashed by the cult? We don't know. So they discover that a little bit. 100 members of this place have committed suicide. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. Then we get the shot of Faye infiltrating. Turns out she, of course, has not actually joined the cult. She was trying to infiltrate it for the bounty. But as she has made her way into this strange collapsed building with all these TV screens around, we see, that she's got her gun. She's clearly acting more like herself. We see, okay, yeah. So she has begun you know, looking for this leader, but she's not finding him. But then these TVs turn on, and she starts, we see her start to become disoriented. And then as, you know, Ed is trying to hack out where's this leader, having no luck at all, having a lot of trouble finding him. And, you know, they keep, you know, Spike is out there trying to talk to the people on street corners handing out flyers, and none of them seem to know anything. Jet is running dry, trying to talk to Dr. Londis's old colleagues. This leader is supposedly, you know, like no one else that ever knew him seems to really remember much about him. And they're just having no luck. And so we finish the first half with Faye contacting the Bebop and essentially acting like she's falling asleep, and says, you know, well, at least maybe my debts, I won't have to worry about my debts. And so, oh no, things are not going well at all. They're still having trouble finding him, but at least now they have a lead from this communique. So Spike goes to try to follow that transmission, while Jet goes and buys one of these. It's like a VR headset, and it's part of what this cult is theoretically using to upload people's brains into the internet. It's a, you know, this brain dream device, and there's some really cool stuff here. I think with, you know, Jet is trying it. He's trying to go to like this Scratch website within there. You know, it doesn't seem like it can do anything right away, or, you know, he doesn't seem worried that it can actually hurt him. Rocket, oh my God, this little boy, he's just tearing it up today. Little boy, how much, did you get all of it out of there already? Hang out loud, buddy. Hang on, I'm sorry to keep interrupting everything, but this today, whoops. Here, have one of these, little boy. There. This one's hard to open. Will that satisfy you for a moment? Oh, that's your water bowl. Puppies, man. Okay, sorry. So it's kind of funny to be dealing with all this on an episode where, you know, Ein certainly plays a significant role, because we see that as Jet is getting involved with this this Scratch website, Ein, watching on the other screen with Ed, starts seeming really suspicious. He's growling, he's barking, and we're like, oh, what's going on? And then just as we see that Jet is actually starting to lose consciousness, he's kind of going all limp, he's losing control of himself, Ein snaps him out of it by biting him. And it's just, again, cool, and cooler still in a moment to see, again, evidence that Ein is not just a dog. At this point, you know, they've realized, oh, part of what is going on with this whole thing is that people can be sort of remotely paralyzed using this machine and special sort of pulses. And at this point, they try putting the headset on Ein just to try to, I mean, I guess to be, you know, they're thinking maybe that'll be different enough that it won't, Ein won't fall prey to the same effect. But then what we see is, as the idea is that Ed is going to continue trying to hack through, Ed finds that Ein just takes control, and Ein is immediately like super hacking his way through the whole system, immediately finds out all sorts of information. And then in the meantime, and it's just really fun to have Ein taking control of the whole situation, and you know, and I think Jet doesn't even really realize, but you know, we just see Ein or Ed realize, looking over at Ein, and we see him, you know, twitching as he's controlling the little machine, and it's fun. And so what they learn through that is that this Dr. Landis, not a real person. He's invented. He is, all of the evidence of his existence is all forgeries. And then so they track down that some of it is originating at this particular hospice facility. So they decide to go there and pose as family members of a patient, and there's some fun silliness with Jet, with his whole sob story of why one of his kids is in this hospice, and trying to say that Ed is his daughter, and trying to tell this whole melodramatic sob story while she is just smiling and hugging him and calling him Papa. And and it's just, it's very silly. It's just a light little moment there. And so at this point, we also have Spike having tracked down where Faye is, making his way there, and then being contacted by Dr. Landis on these screens as he sees Faye there. Spike discovers what Faye did, which is that all of the other bounty hunters that have tried to track this guy down just get sort of put to sleep by this same sort of high-frequency noise, and are basically just left to sleep until they die. And Dr. Landis is basically trying to make the case that, shouldn't everybody have to be like me? And what that means is we see Jet and Ed having discovered he's actually not Dr. Landis at all. He's a kid who was a hacker, who was in a medical accident, they say, and left completely paralyzed, but connected to the internet through a brainwave scanning device. And they, so just as Spike seems like he's going to fall prey to the same effect that Faye did, we have Ed and Jet disconnect the kid from the internet, which we see result in Dr. Landis also disappearing. And there's suddenly this sinister episode becomes kind of sad, because we realize that it's this poor kid who's, been dealt a hard blow in life and is left completely paralyzed, is a prisoner in his own body, and we discover that his sadness turned outward to the feeling that everybody else should have the same kind of body he has. So he's not really uploading people to the internet. He's really just shutting their bodies down. And it's kind of, there's some Ghost in the Shell influence there. And they realize that, the bounty that they thought they were after is this catatonic kid in the hospital. And there's a weird shot, actually, where Jet literally puts a handcuff on this unconscious kid in the hospital, which is, it's unclear what they're trying to indicate with that, other than just confirming that this is the target, but seems unlikely that they're gonna be able to turn him in and get the bounty. So why put the handcuff on him? But I don't know, it's fine though. But yeah, so it's a relatively straightforward plot for the episode. We've got a pretty cool mystery. We've got the whole crew being competent and working their own strengths to try to track down and solve the mystery. Eventually, we get some some nice hero moments from Ein doing his thing, and eventually we result in this really bittersweet story. This kid, it's so sad what happened to him, and yet you can't let him keep killing people, right? So it's just, yeah, so it's just kind of sad at the end. But Jet surmises, since all he could do is dream, his dreams turn dark, and then Spike says, if you want to dream, dream alone. And that's where they leave it. At least the crew of the Bebop is all reunited for now. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. So next week we're going to be talking about session 24, Hard Luck Woman. And in the meantime, I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.